Liu Ryan posted our chat history where I was trying to court her in the sisters group chat. The group showered me with mockery. They called me Liu Ryan's lapdog. I added the senior who mocked me the hardest. Later, at a party, Liu Ryan repeated her old tricks. She made me look foolish in front of everyone. But one of her friends suddenly stepped in front of me. Liu Ryan, her face darkening, asked her, "What do you mean by this?" On the afternoon of Valentine's Day, the dormitory was bustling with activity. Everyone was getting ready for their dates. Only I, holding a half-eaten bag of chips, opened my tablet and started binge-watching a drama. Su-Wen changed clothes multiple times, unsatisfied with each outfit. He moved in front of my wardrobe. "Your suit looks great," he said. Ever since I had made plans with Liu Ryan for dinner tonight, a month ago, I had carefully chosen this suit. Su-Wen asked me, "Has no one asked you out tonight?" Seeing that I didn't respond, he smirked slightly. He called out a name. "Liu Ryan isn't responding to you." The moment he mentioned the name, everyone else in the dormitory looked over at me. Liu Ryan was always the center of attention. She was beautiful and an outstanding student. Life seemed like an effortless game for her. Love, too. She grew up being adored by everyone. There was never a shortage of proactive and attractive people around her, and I was just the neighbor who happened to attend the same school, from elementary to university, holding a script with every advantage in proximity, yet only able to remain a bystander enjoying it all. I took out my phone. There were no notifications on her pinned avatar. If I didn't reach out to her, she would never take the initiative to contact me. 9:30. The drama was already over. The dormitory was empty, and I was the only one left. Suddenly, my phone rang. An unfamiliar number appeared on the screen, but I recognized it immediately. I dared not save it as a contact. I didn't want to seem too concerned, but in reality, I knew it by heart. "Hello," I answered. I nervously picked at the frayed edge of a hanger, trying to distract myself. She let out a soft laugh, as if sensing the suppressed frustration in my voice. She spoke soothingly. "Wanna come out?" Her tone was teasing with that upward lilt. It was her usual nonchalance, so she remembered. It was now 9:30. I replied, "So?" She asked, "Do you always ask me out so last minute?" "Liu Ryan," I said, "this is quite rude, you know?" I joked. "Or is it because someone else bailed that you're asking me?" My tone was lighthearted. Yet it was hard not to care about her reaction. But her reply didn't come. The silence on the other end was palpable. I thought maybe the network had lagged. I was about to switch to mobile data when I realized she had hung up on me. In our chat history, below the long green messages from me, she had only replied with 2 short lines. "Up to you." No pressure. Instinctively, I began typing in the text box. I was just kidding. Trying to explain, but my fingers hovered over her brief response. I had waited for her all evening, and just like that, she hung up. In the end, I deleted everything. I typed again. "Are you angry?" Sent. She replied instantly. "Can't you tell?" She wanted me to lower my stance. Like always, I replied just as quickly. "Fine, be angry then." And then I blocked her. I turned around and opened my vocabulary app. I vowed to memorize 100 words. 2 hours passed. Just as I was about to finish, I received a call from Liu Ryan. "Are you hungry?" "No," I replied. My tone was cold. "Come downstairs, I brought you a late-night snack." I leaned out and looked out the window. Sure enough, I saw her black car in front of the dorm building. She was wearing a tailored, sleek coat, which made her skin look even paler. She leaned lazily against the car door and casually looked up at my window. She raised her eyebrows and smiled, holding up a steaming bowl of seafood congee. It was the same kind I had bought her before when she had a fever. I walked downstairs, passing by 2 male classmates who were returning from outside. "Isn't that Liu Ryan from the medical school?" "Who?" "The beautiful one at the entrance. I think I've seen a video of her before." I pushed open the dormitory door. reached out to take the bag of seafood congee, but her fingers pinched the handle. Not so fast. Give me your phone, she said, extending her other hand toward me. No way! I let go of the bag, turned around to head back into the dorm. She grabbed me with one hand and, catching me off guard, pulled my phone from my pocket. I reached out to snatch it back. What are you doing? You don't even know the password. Before I could finish speaking, she had already unlocked it. Is there anything you know that I don't? Her smile deepened. With a few swift taps, removed herself from my blocked contacts. It was easy to find because she was pinned to the top. The password was her birthday, which made it easy to guess. She knew everything. Obviously. Here you go. Eat well before you sleep. She placed the warm bag in my arms. I felt like a pig being fattened up. I looked up into her eyes. She steadied herself. Liu Ryan, Fang Yuan. Our voices overlapped. I looked past her and saw Su Wen sitting in the passenger seat. He opened the car door, his face slightly flushed. Did I fall asleep? You didn't even wake me up. Liu Ryan let go of my hand, smiling as she replied to him. I saw you were sleeping soundly, so I let you sleep a little longer. Today, the club went to play an escape room game. Didn't expect Fang Yuan to be there too. Su Wen walked toward me, taking my hand. She gave me a ride back since it was on the way. He pointed at the seafood congee in my hand. It's all because that congee was so delicious. I got full and sleepy on the way back. She took Su Wen to eat, and also packed some for me. Su Wen had an upset stomach, so she took him to grab a bite. She noticed my gaze. So hot, I forced a smile. Thanks, I'll head up first. Fang Yuan, wait for me. Su Wen grabbed my elbow tightly, refusing to let me go, but he turned to Liu Ryan and said, "Can I add you on Green Bubble? I'll transfer you the money for tonight." I followed his gaze. Looking over at Liu Ryan, the tightly gripped bag left a red mark on my hand. She smiled faintly, nonchalantly. Sure. But before she spoke, she glanced at me once more. Su Wen finally let go of my hand. He went to add her on Green Bubble. I suddenly felt a sense of relief and said, "Take your time chatting." Then I walked upstairs without looking back. Su Wen pulled open my bed curtain and asked, "Fang Yuan, you don't mind, right? But you're not Liu Ryan's boyfriend, are you?" "Exactly," I replied. "I have no right. You like Liu Ryan?" I asked directly. His eyes shifted evasively. "Not really. Just happened to be on the way tonight." "Why didn't you eat the seafood congee?" He pointed to the congee left and touched on the table. His tone was somewhat complaining. "We bought it especially for you. Not hungry." I tried to pull the curtain closed, but he held onto it. "Fang Yuan, do you know there's a group chat for Liu Ryan's sisters?" I paused. I didn't know. Senior Joe is also in that group. Su Wen held his phone in front of me. She sent me this screenshot a few days ago. It was a chat screenshot from the group. I immediately recognized Liu Ryan's profile picture. Those days she had a fever. I had taken care of her for a whole week. When she recovered, I caught a severe cold instead. My entire body ached so much I couldn't get out of bed. I asked her to buy me some porridge. She didn't reply. Instead, she forwarded our chat history to the sisters group. The screen was filled with messages from me to her. "Look at this sycophant," it read. "He's not tired of it, but I'm already fed up. Does he really think he's my boyfriend?" The group mocked me for a long time. How many times has this happened this week? This guy is really desperate, isn't he? You two clearly aren't a good match. Is he even worthy of our sister Liu? Doesn't he have any self-awareness? Just because he's known you for a long time, he thinks he can pressure you into submission? Any pictures? Let me see what it looks like when sick. Liu Ryan immediately sent a very blurry photo, but you can roughly make out the outline. Not bad. But he looks like a scheming guy. I wouldn't want him even if he was given to me. End of the screenshot. She really seems not to like you. Fang Yuan. Su Wen retrieved his phone. Wait, I advise you, it's best to have self-awareness. I asked him, who is that sister doesn't play the fool? He was caught off guard by my sudden change of topic. Oh, her? Liu Ryan's roommate, Li Fang. Do you have her WeChat? Yes. He paused. Why do you want her WeChat? Occasionally, someone in the dormitory would turn over at night. I unlocked my phone. Unlocked the screen lock. Removed from the top contacts. Added Li Fang's WeChat. Sister doesn't play the fool. Who are you, Fang Yuan? Why did you add me? For Liu Ryan. I won't help you. No! Then why? Just to unfriend. Li Fang, has anyone ever told you that you're very special? No! In my eyes. You're different from everyone else. No! Brother, what do you want? Just say it straight. All these years, I've been approaching Liu Ryan. Actually, for one purpose only. To win you over. The other side seemed to have suddenly gone still, frozen for several minutes. The phone vibrated once. Liu Ryan sent a WeChat message. Cover for me in the early morning elective, as if she was convinced I would always like her. Early morning elective class. Su Wen and I chose the same course. To be precise, he chose the same course as Liu Ryan. At that time, when I was scrambling for the course, he was right next to me, staring at me the whole time. Fang Yuan, you chatted with Li Fang last night? His gaze swept across my face. Too bad she never posts selfies in her moments. No idea what she looks like. But usually, those who don't post selfies aren't that good looking. Maybe she looks like that. He casually pointed at a random female classmate, then turned his head to look at me, with a light chuckle. She matches you quite well. Just as Su Wen finished speaking, a voice came from beside me. Classmate, could you move over a bit? Su Wen raised his eyes impatiently, but when he saw who it was, his eyes lit up. The person had a tall, striking figure with an imposing aura, exuding a strong keep-away vibe. Even though there were plenty of other seats in the classroom. Su Wen still made room for her. He leaned over me, trying to start a conversation. Hey, are you here for this class too? The other replied coldly, but she glanced at me one more time. What's your name? Su Wen interjected. You seem pretty awkward. Her tone was calm and indifferent. Li Fang. Su Wen pouted his lips and pulled his head back, quickly packed his things, moved several seats forward, inching away from the dangerous source. To avoid this potential threat, pleasure to meet you, Fang Yuan. Li Fang pulled out a textbook, placed it on the narrow desk, right next to my notebook. She raised an eyebrow, with a tone as if ready to start a fight any moment. Last night, you said, what did you want to do to me? I gave a slight smile, moved my notebook away, kept a distance. She mimicked my smile. I knew you were only getting close to me for Liu Ryan. That's not true. I denied it 3 times in a row. She looked at me with disdain. You wish. Sister Liu would never be interested in a guy like you, who's only focused on love. Besides, I'm a person with principles. Her attitude was firm. How could I fall for such clumsy tricks from you? Really? I asked her back. The attendance sheet was passed to me. I skipped over Liu Ryan's name and only signed my own. When I handed it to Li Fang, I accidentally touched her hand. She recoiled like a startled cat, emitting an intense do not approach vibe. She cleared her throat. Why didn't you sign for Liu Ryan? She was as righteous as a moral judge of Liu Ryan's love life. What a pity. I wanted to drag her into the water. Because you're here next to me. I smiled at her. She avoided my gaze, facing forward with a serious expression. Can I borrow your pen? I asked. She hurriedly took it and signed Liu Ryan's name. A hint of nervousness in her actions. The handwriting was quite beautiful. Your name isn't on the attendance sheet. I tilted my head to look directly into her eyes. So did you come just to see me? She immediately rebutted, drawing a clear boundary. I came to warn you. I spread my hands. Can I have my pen back now? The pen seemed like a hot potato in her hand. She promptly returned it to me. I held the pen in my palm, examining it closely. What are you doing? She couldn't help but ask. This is the first pen we used together. I'm going to keep it as a memento. I spoke with genuine sincerity. As soon as the bell rang, Li Fang ran off without looking back. I put away my smile and slowly started packing my things. When I passed by the lectern, I handed the attendance sheet to the professor. Student, can you lend a pen to the teacher? The professor took the sheet and searched through the pile of chalk for a pen. I handed my pen to the professor. Here, teacher, this is for you. I have plenty more. Leaving the classroom. I leaned against the wall and took out my phone. I switched to a secondary account, disguised as a girl's account, and added Li Fang's WeChat. Her name was Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. Who are you? Her words carried a bit more caution and vigilance than last night. Dog trainer. This morning, I caught you secretly holding hands with Fang Yuan during class. Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. We just touched for a moment. Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. No, it wasn't on purpose. It was him who did it intentionally. Or not. Anyway, I didn't mean to. A few minutes later. Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. How much for you to delete it? She then sent a 1,000 yuan red envelope. I didn't accept it. Dog trainer. You and Liu Ryan have a group chat. Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. How do you know? Dog trainer. Add me in. Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. This is our girls group. What do you want to do in there? Dog trainer. I'm secretly in love with Liu Ryan. I made up an excuse. Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. Aren't you a girl? Dog trainer. Got a problem with that? She added me to the girls group, then sent me a private message, repeating once more. Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. Remember to delete the photo. Sister Doesn't Play the Fool. I would never hold his hand, even if it killed me. I didn't reply. I switched back to my main account. Just after logging in, I received a message from Liu Ryan. Signature. Want to go camping this weekend? I hadn't replied yet when a message from Su Wen arrived. Wan isn't bull. Fang Yuan asked me to go camping. What do you think? Should I agree? Liu Ryan is always like this. She invites others first and then invites me. I'm always her foolproof backup choice. But now I want her to experience what that feels like too. Weekend camping. Everyone there was Liu Ryan's friend. Su Wen rushed ahead of me and took the passenger seat next to Liu Ryan. Sorry, Fang Yuan. I'm used to sitting in Sister Liu's car. I get carsick in others' cars. The back seats were also full. Liu Ryan said, why don't you go sit in Li Fang's car? Yeah. You two can chat along the way. Su Wen winked at me. After all, you at night. You added her on WeChat? Liu Ryan caught the key phrase. In the back seat, Liu Ryan smiled, looked at me and said, has our junior got a new target? At those words, Liu Ryan's expression subtly shifted, but only for a second. Then, with her usual carefree and confident demeanor, she smiled and shouted toward the other car. Li Fang, I'm leaving him in your care. Then she helped Su Wen close the passenger door, completely cutting off any chance of me getting in her car. As a friend, don't say I didn't create an opportunity for you. She whispered to me, and then pushed me in the direction of Li Fang. Who knew that Li Fang, on the opposite side, wore a cold and aloof expression? Sorry, my car doesn't take strangers. Not even a bit of face given. Everyone burst into laughter. I became the odd one out that no one wanted to take, standing alone in the middle. Su Wen laughed the loudest. What are you laughing at? Li Fang pointed at him. You're not allowed either. Su Wen's smile vanished instantly. His embarrassment turned to anger. Who would want to get in your car? Oh, seeing how fast you grabbed the front seat. She bluntly pointed it out. Liu Ryan came out to ease the situation, giving up her back seat to me and getting into Li Fang's car herself. On the highway, Su Wen and Liu Ryan were chatting and laughing in the front seat. When the car stopped for a break at a service area, the girls' group chat was buzzing. Liu Ryan, don't keep bullying the junior just because he likes you. Li Fang, you clearly know he likes your type, and yet you introduce him to Ah Fang? Liu Ryan and Li Fang are two completely different types. The former is a seasoned player in the game of love. The latter is an arrogant, reclusive straight shooter. No one would think to pair me with Li Fang. Trainer. Fang Yuan and Li Fang are a match made in heaven. Sister doesn't play the fool. Liu Ryan. Who is this person? When did they join? Trainer was removed from the group chat by Sister doesn't play the fool. Li Fang immediately sent a private message to my secondary account. Sister doesn't play the fool. Try talking nonsense again. Trainer. I have a picture of you two holding hands secretly. I looked up toward the driver's seat of the other car. Li Fang calmly looked at her phone. So you have no idea what we're laughing about. Camping by the bonfire. I glanced toward the driver's seat of the other car. Li Fang was calmly looking at her phone. Her side profile was sharp and defined. The stray hairs on her forehead couldn't hide the coldness in her eyes. There was no hint on her face that she was privately sending me a puppy begging for mercy sticker on WeChat. Sister doesn't play the fool. Everyone makes mistakes sometimes. The fool. Give a little face to your little sister. Sister doesn't play the fool. Invited Trainer to join the group chat. Sister doesn't play the fool. No one special. Just a girl. Sister doesn't play the fool. Likes to stir things up between me and Sister Liu. Ryan, your names do go well together. Liu Ryan. Don't worry. Besides her. No one else believes it. Liu Ryan. A match made in heaven? Ha ha ha. Even if our junior likes Su Wen, he wouldn't like you. Sister doesn't play the fool. Liu Ryan came out of the service area supermarket. As she got back into the car, she handed a bag of snacks to Su Wen. Thanks, Sister Liu. He looked delighted. Digging through the bag, he pulled out a mango juice. That's for Fang Yuan. Liu Ryan took the mango juice from his hand and placed it firmly in my lap. He only drinks this flavor. Su Wen's expression stiffened. He forced a smile and agreed. Yeah. I was going to give it to him too. He glanced at me and poked Liu Ryan's arm playfully. Sister Liu, look at the group chat, it's hilarious. Li Fang somehow brought in a comedian. Liu Ryan raised an eyebrow. Her fingers quickly swiped across the screen. She chuckled and didn't take it seriously. The car started moving again. Su Wen turned back to me and whispered, what a pity. You're not in that group. So you have no idea what we're laughing about. Camping by the. You have no idea what we're laughing about. Camping by the bonfire. Su Wen sat next to Liu Ryan. Eating the barbecue she fed him. I grilled a few skewers of shrimp and finally sat down. Across from Liu Ryan, next to Li Fang. I hadn't even settled in when the person beside me immediately jumped up. Sister Liu Ryan. Let's switch seats. Li Fang said, without glancing at me once. I'm sitting just fine. Why switch? Liu Ryan had just warmed her seat and didn't want to move. Is there a ghost next to you? Everyone turned to look at me, sitting beside her. No ghost here. I looked back and handed Li Fang a skewer of grilled shrimp. Is there a ghost in your heart? She tightened her jaw, sat down, and took the grilled shrimp. No, you're the one with a ghost. Liu Ryan's gaze casually fell on the grilled shrimp in Li Fang's hand. She shifted her gaze away. Around us, people were chatting energetically about gossip. When the topic turned to relationships, someone suddenly mentioned, some people who feel self-pity are really annoying, acting like a sycophant and getting addicted to it. The person speaking had no ill intent, but the listeners were keen. Troublemakers around us started looking at me. Su Wen chuckled softly and deliberately steered the topic toward me. He asked Liu Ryan, "Do you also hate such people? Is that so?" Liu Ryan looked up, gazing at the space between me and Li Fang, which was barely a fist wide. "Indeed, they are quite annoying." Her tone was calm and unruffled. With a faint smile, she said, "And their methods are quite low level, like using another woman to spark my competitive spirit. So unoriginal." She saw through my intentions in one glance, and openly exposed them, making me a laughingstock in public. With nowhere to hide. Those who understood the deeper meaning of her words wore knowing smiles. People began whispering to each other. Su Wen, looking smug, added a comment. "Oh, here we go again. That is rather pitiful. That feeling of being isolated and helpless, standing in the center. Every time, Liu Ryan could push me into this quicksand, and just when I was about to be submerged, she would casually pull me out with a teasing gesture, a slap, and then a sweet treat. Sure enough, the next second, she stood up. Handing me a skewer of my favorite grilled corn. "Eat, you unoriginal fool." But that skewer of corn. Was intercepted by another hand. Li Fang decisively pushed Liu Ryan's hand away from in front of me. "The corn isn't cooked yet," she said. Liu Ryan's hand froze midair. "Sister Liu, have you ever considered that maybe you are the other woman?" Li Fang suddenly asked. Liu Ryan's face darkened. "What do you mean?" Li Fang didn't even glance at me. But kept her hand firmly between me and Liu Ryan. "For example, what if he's been trying so hard to get close to you. Just to get close to someone next to you?" Liu Ryan laughed at her words and sat back down beside Su Wen. She tossed the corn skewer onto the grill carelessly. Then he better be. A new round of barbecue was served. The conversation shifted accordingly. People began trying to pair Liu Ryan and Su Wen together. The scene was lively. I quietly finished a small plate of grilled oysters, feeling a bit off in my lower abdomen. "Last time we were drinking porridge. You said the stars here were beautiful." Su Wen was speaking over there. Liu Ryan smiled faintly, half smirking, but she didn't respond to him, absent-mindedly fiddling with the skewer in her hand. It was Liu Ryan beside her who teased. "So you two have been meeting up in private already, huh?" The pain mercilessly twisted in my sinking lower abdomen. Damn! My period came early. The pain was so intense it brought tears to my eyes. Li Fang glanced at me. I endured the pain, lowering my head onto my knees. I had to go to the bathroom. On the other side, Liu Ryan, egged on by everyone. Described her ideal first love type. 9 times out of 10, it matched Su Wen. But it was completely opposite to me. While everyone was making a fuss, I quietly slipped away. Walked to the corner tent to rummage through my bag. Behind me, a tall shadow enveloped me in the small tent. "Stop crying." I take back what I said earlier. I turned my head, tear stain still on my face, and looked blankly at Li Fang. She seemed slightly startled. "Are you really crying? Don't be sad. It's not that you're bad. It's just that you and Liu Ryan aren't a good match." She cleared her throat lightly, just like someone else instead. I blinked at her. "What are you looking at?" Her ears turned red. "You're really pretty," I said honestly. In the dim light, her sharp features softened a bit. She grew irritated. "Be serious." "I'm not crying." I wiped my face. "It's just my period came and I didn't bring any pads." Her face turned red, clearly not expecting me to say it so bluntly. "What should we do then?" Her tone was flustered and unsure. "Can you drive me down the mountain to buy some?" "The mountain isn't high. The road is clear. We could be back in about half an hour. I don't take strange men in my car." I touched her spotless passenger seat and asked. Smiling at her. "Then we just need to make sure we're not strangers." Her hand on the steering wheel paused. She turned her head away to avoid my gaze. "You've been lying to me all along, haven't you?" Li Fang said. "Actually, the one you like has always been her. Why involve me?" Because I saw the chat history in your girls' group. She was slightly stunned. Her side glance swept over me. I spoke calmly. You said I was pathetic, that I wasn't worthy of Liu Ryan, that I had no sense of self-awareness, and all that is true. But what I don't understand is why is sincerely loving someone called being a sycophant? I asked her directly. Does mocking someone's love make another person seem superior? She pressed her lips together, not saying a word. The silence inside the car was even deeper than outside. The mountain air was cool at night. Her car drove steadily and swiftly to the small supermarket at the foot of the mountain. I borrowed the store's bathroom. The night on the mountain was dark, stretching like ink spilled across the horizon. I stayed in the restroom for quite a while. When I came out, I saw Li Feng leaning against the mottled wall, waiting for me. She blocked the only exit leading back to me. Under the flickering yellow light, dressed in a black trench coat, her gaze was clear and cold, but without a trace of impatience. She said, "There aren't many people in the mountains. I'm worried for your safety. So I stood here, feeding the mosquitoes while waiting for you." Back in the car, the heater was on full blast. I caught a glimpse of the sleeping pills hidden deep inside. Feng Yuan, Li Feng, rarely so serious, called my name. I turned my head to respond. "Yes, I'm sorry." Guilt flickered in her eyes. The warm light from the car ceiling softened her face a bit more. I had always heard about your behavior from Liu Ryan, so I had preconceived notions about you. You weren't being pathetic, and you're definitely not unworthy of anyone. The person who lacked understanding was me, she said. The car took the same route back up the mountain, driving to the parking area near the campsite. She turned on her flashlight and walked behind me. The cold wind blew together. I shivered. She casually draped her black trench coat over me, clearing her throat. She emphasized, "It's just a temporary loan." The coat felt nice to the touch. I couldn't help but stroke the edges. She noticed my small action and warned, "Don't touch it too much." I looked up at her, then touched it once more. She grabbed my wandering hand. "Do you always like to mess with others?" I looked at her warm hand. "Weren't you the one who swore you'd never hold my hand?" She responded, flustered, "You. I interlocked my fingers with hers. "Your fingers are so long. Really beautiful." She was caught off guard, her mind seemingly blank for a moment. She immediately let go and warned me, "I'm telling you once more, I won't ever like you. I don't need you to like me." I said seriously, "But there's one thing I didn't lie about." "What?" she asked. I remained silent. She didn't speak either. We stared at each other. The cold air between us thickened. It quickly reminded her of that night, the chat logs that heated things up. She immediately realized. Her ears turned bright red. "Don't even think about it. I'm not like Liu Ryan, who is casual with anyone. What I have. It's reserved for. The person I love most in my life." She turned her face away, showing a softer, negotiable side that was completely different from her usual demeanor. "Pick another condition. Just stop bothering me." I looked at her face, thought for a moment, then change your lock screen password to my birthday. She froze in surprise. I continued, "Just for tonight. Change it back tomorrow." I gave her a genuine smile. I've liked someone else for so many years. I've never known what it feels like to be liked by someone. All these years, I know Liu Ryan inside and out. But what it feels like to be loved by her is the most unfamiliar experience for me. Just as I reached the campsite sign, I saw Liu Ryan standing under the moonlight. She spotted me immediately. She walked towards me. Her brows furrowed, just about to scold me. But then she saw Li Feng behind me, instantly pressing her lips shut. "What are you doing, standing out in the cold wind?" Li Feng asked her. Liu Ryan's dark eyes locked onto the coat on my shoulders. She ignored Li Feng. And said to me. "Aren't you checking your phone?" I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. There were over a dozen missed calls. all from a number I knew by heart. I had it on silent. I explained. She stared at the string of digits and instead asked a completely irrelevant question. You didn't save my number? I put my phone away without answering her question. People at the campsite heard the commotion and looked over. Where did you two go? Liu Ryan walked over and asked, looking for you. Fang Yuan was just looking for you. Su Wen's eyes shifted between me and Li Fang. Finally settling on Liu Ryan's not-so-friendly face. Oh, Fang Yuan, he said, seemingly casual but sharp. You sure know how to seize every opportunity. At those words, Liu Ryan's tone became increasingly aggressive towards me, trying to grab my wrist. Going somewhere without a word? Not answering the phone. Coming and going as you please. You're just so casual with people. It was me who took him down the mountain. Li Fang stepped in front of me, blocking Liu Ryan's reaching hand. My phone was off. I didn't get the messages. It's my fault. For the second time now. Liu Ryan's hand hung in mid-air. Stand off. You let him ride in your car? Su Wen probed. What were you two doing? We were. Li Fang started confidently, but then something crossed her mind. Seeing me feeling awkward, she quickly changed her words. He was cold, so we just sat in the car for a while. To warm up, Liu Ryan withdrew her hand, crossing her arms and looking down. Her expression mocking. With that big bonfire right there. You still needed to warm up in someone's car? Li Fang replied. It was my idea. I wasn't talking to you. Liu Ryan interrupted her. Her tone was as cold as it could get. I'm talking to Fang Yuan. What does this have to do with you? Fang Yuan? Li Fang's tone remained calm, her eyebrows slightly raised. Are you sure you're angry because he didn't answer your calls? Instead of being angry with someone else, the moment these words were spoken, there was a deep silence all around. Liu Ryan was suddenly awakened by those words, pulling back the emotions that were nearly out of control. She smiled faintly. What am I angry about? She pointed at Qin Fang's shoulder and said, if you want to pursue someone, do it openly. Why bother scheming behind the scenes? Do you think I wouldn't support you? But you're going to be disappointed, she said with certainty. I know Fang Yuan very well. Liu Ryan's tone was resolute, yet filled with some regret. He's not into your type. She was still the same confident Liu Ryan, as if her momentary lapse had been just a joke. Seeing the atmosphere ease, Liu Ryan immediately changed the subject. You really aren't paying attention to your phone, are you? She said to Li Fang. That revision of the speech competition. The professor asked you to send it to her again tonight. She even called me about it. Li Fang acknowledged with a nod, restarted her phone, and unlocked the screen. Her fingers moved swiftly, flashing past the notifications. But with just a glance, Liu Ryan's sharp peripheral vision caught it all. My birthday. Liu Ryan's eyes widened slightly, lingering on the glowing screen of Li Fang's phone for a long time, as if she had glimpsed undeniable evidence she didn't want to believe. Anything else? Li Fang asked her. Liu Ryan, expressionless, walked past her, looking straight at the person behind her. At that moment, Li Fang too understood the subtle tension that others hadn't noticed. Only those involved could sense it clearly. Nothing. Liu Ryan averted her gaze, tightened her lips, and the next morning on their return journey, when Suwon tried to take the seat next to Liu Ryan in the front passenger seat, I was promptly kicked out of the seat. Fang Yuan, you sit here. She pushed me into the car. Help me with navigation. Suwon can't. Then where do I sit? Suwon was getting anxious. Liu Ryan leaned against the car door frame, glanced toward another SUV, and raised her voice. You sit in Li Fang's car. Didn't she say she doesn't allow unfamiliar men in her car? Suwon held onto the car door. Meanwhile, Li Fang, who was being mentioned, was packing things up, lifting the trunk door with one hand, and glanced over in our direction. Her gaze landed precisely on me. Liu Ryan shifted slightly forward, blocking the view. If she can give Fang Yuan a ride, then Li Fang can give you one too. After all, you're both unfamiliar men. Su Wen unwillingly looked at Li Fang, but she firmly refused. No! Her stance was strong and resolute. Liu Ryan sneered. Then Fang Yuan is fine, huh? Yes. As soon as those words left her lips, Liu Ryan wore a faint smile and casually slammed the front passenger door shut, locking me inside her car. Liu Ryan, what are you doing? I knocked on the car window. Can you settle down for a bit? Liu Ryan, annoyed, walked over. Go, go, go! All of you get in Li Fang's car. Fang Yuan, you let me drive your car. Liu Ryan didn't budge. Something's off about you. You didn't sleep at all last night. Liu Ryan shot her a glance, then muttered under her breath, You're driving on the highway exhausted with emotions? Are you trying to kill us all? In the end, we all got into Li Fang's car. I sat in the front passenger seat, Liu Ryan and Su Wen in the back. Once the car hit the highway, Li Fang asked me, Does it still hurt? She pointed at the glove compartment. There's medicine in there. It's fine. I took some last night. I replied. Liu Ryan clenched the hand supporting her chin and turned her head, wanting to roll down the window for some fresh air. But the window was locked by Li Fang. Don't roll down the windows on the highway. Li Fang's words shut her down completely. I ignored everything, put on my headphones, and started memorizing vocabulary. Last night, menstrual cramps nearly ruined my study routine. Today, I had to finish early. I can't afford to delay anything, especially memorizing my words. Fang Yuan, are you memorizing vocabulary again? Su Wen's peripheral vision caught sight of my phone. Are you really planning to participate in the English speech contest? I gripped my phone. Glancing through the rearview mirror at Liu Ryan, who was resting with her eyes closed in the back seat. Back in high school, English had always been Liu Ryan's forte. She had participated in various international language environments since she was young. Easy for her to learn. When she got to college, she continued to dominate, winning first place in every English speech competition. Her most viral social media video was from her most stunning performance in one of those contests. Back then, she had mocked me for having a heavily accented, Chinese-style pronunciation. It stung, and I became determined to master English, which I have relentlessly pursued ever since. I've always wanted to prove that with enough effort, I could stand shoulder to shoulder with her, to make her notice me. No! I'm not participating. I said, why not? Li Fang unexpectedly interjected, causing Liu Ryan in the back to slightly open her eyes. Why else? Liu Ryan's tone carried a hint of teasing familiarity. I taught her English from middle school through high school, and in 6 years, I still couldn't get her to master it. A fool could change his Chinese accent. My expression shifted, as an old wound was openly exposed. And it was something undeniable. No one would feel good about that. If you couldn't teach them in 6 years, then that's the teacher's problem, isn't it? Li Fang tapped her fingers lightly on the steering wheel. Maybe a different teacher would have done the job. Liu Ryan sneered. Do you know him better, or do I? Believe in him, Li Fang said. I glanced up at her. She kept her gaze steadily forward, focused on driving. But I still caught it. The way her ears quietly turned red. For someone with fair skin, the slightest blush was clearly visible. The car first stopped outside Liu Ryan's apartment building. Can I take a look inside? Su Wen followed Liu Ryan out of the car. She didn't respond. Su Wen leaned through the window and asked me, Fang Yuan, have you been here before? Come up with us and take a look. When Liu Ryan had a high fever, I came to take care of her. I even knew the code to her door. Liu Ryan, hands in her pockets, gestured toward me. Hot pot tonight. She smiled at Li Fang. There's no parking here, though, so I won't trouble you. Li Fang locked eyes with her. Enjoy your meal. With a brief nod, the door lock clicked, and with a press of the gas pedal, we sped away, leaving her behind. In the rearview mirror, Liu Ryan stood in place, fading from my view. Once we were on the highway, Li Feng pulled the car over to the side of the road. I'm sorry. She rested her hands on the wheel. Unable to look at me, I just wanted to hit the gas. It's fine. I didn't want to go to her place anyway. Are you heading back to school now? Or do you want to grab something to eat? She turned her head to look at me. I can take you anywhere. I turned off my phone, touched my nose awkwardly. Can I go to your place? Because the water in the dorm was cut off, I just found out from my dormmates on my phone. They've already finished showering outside and returned. Li Feng was a local student. Her family lived in North City, not far from the school. From the underground parking garage, we took the elevator up to her apartment. The entire ride, we kept a significant distance between us. In the cramped elevator, both of us silent. Through the glass, she noticed my hand tightly gripping my backpack strap. No one's home. You don't have to be nervous, she said. But as soon as the words left her mouth, the atmosphere became even more awkward. No, I mean, she instinctively tried to explain. You don't have to rush your shower. I live alone. The more she explained, the stranger it got. I interrupted the spiraling conversation. I'll leave as soon as I'm done. It won't take long, I said. She didn't say anything more. The city lights glimmered through the large windows, casting a dim glow. When I came out after a quick shower, she had just finished making instant noodles, enough for two. She cleared her throat softly, handing me a glass of water, even though it was her own home. She seemed more reserved than I was, like a guest. Why do you live alone? A large apartment with 4 rooms. The cold gray decor made the place feel especially empty. Books related to computers were scattered across the living room floor. I used to live with my dad, she said. My parents divorced when I was little. Then when I was in middle school, my dad went abroad to study medicine, and he never came back. I've been living alone ever since. I looked at the only framed photo in the living room. It was taken at Tiananmen Square. Her father had his arm around her. She looked no older than 10. They both smiled so happily. Why didn't you go abroad to study with your dad? Because he hates me. Li Feng smiled, a resigned expression. He's actually a lot like Liu Ryan, she said. A genius who finds everything easy to learn. A gifted child at the top of the pyramid. Unfortunately, he met my mom. After they got married, my mom cheated on him. I was only a year old at the time. The affair was a huge blow to my dad. He never understood what he did wrong, why he had to bear such a stain on his life. Constantly judged by the people around him, she lowered her gaze slightly. So, he chose to leave. At just over 30 years old, he decided to start over, passing all kinds of exams. He really was amazing. Whenever Li Feng talked about her father, there was always a trace of pride in her eyes. Her tone was gentle, without a hint of bitterness. Later, I chose the same major as him, hoping he would notice me. She smiled faintly, but unfortunately, I just don't have the talent. I could never meet the standard of the daughter he imagined. He once told me, if you're not naturally gifted, working hard is pointless. At first, Li Feng believed in Liu Ryan's way of thinking too. She hated me for constantly making futile efforts to please Liu Ryan. And even more so, she hated herself. Is that why you keep sleeping pills in your car? My question was a bit too intrusive. But she didn't get angry. Instead, she let out a helpless laugh. Not being able to sleep is truly painful. So, the 4 doors in the apartment were tightly shut. She had been using the couch as her bed. She didn't want the atmosphere to stay heavy, so she lightened her tone and said, "When I can't sleep, I just read books. Look, I've almost finished reading all the computer science books. You really like computer stuff, don't you?" "Yes," she responded softly. Originally, I wanted to study network security, but choosing medicine was just to prove something. She smiled and glanced at me. But the truth is, I really don't have the talent for it. "Li Feng, I want to enter the English speech competition," I said. She raised her eyebrows. and asked, "Still trying to prove yourself to Liu Ryan?" "No! I want to prove it to myself." I looked her straight in the eye and said slowly, word by word, "Effort is meaningful. The key is to find the right direction." It used to be about making Liu Ryan see me, but now it's just about letting myself see who I am. I was suffocating in the sands of her influence for so long, but I'm no longer waiting for her hand to pull me out whenever she feels like it. I let myself sink deeper, until I finally touched solid ground under the sand. Only then did I realize everything was just an illusion woven by her emotions. I've walked out of that illusion and opened my eyes. I see a vast wilderness where the dawn has just begun to rise. Maybe it was from camping in the wind. I ended up catching a cold. I lay in the dorm, listening to Sue when cursing and complaining in the corner. Liu Ryan had gone on a trip with the club and didn't take him with her. Instead, his friends secretly hitched a ride without him knowing. That left him feeling betrayed. They even sent a group photo to privately boast about it to him. I finished practicing my speech despite my stuffy nose, then pulled out my phone and logged into my alternate account. In the sisters group chat, as expected, Liu Ryan had posted several photos surrounded by guys. By comparison, Li Feng had become much quieter, rarely speaking up in the group. Liu Ryan. Looks like Feng Yuan is having a lot of fun. Liu Ryan. Why hasn't that junior come to find you lately? Liu Ryan didn't reply, but suddenly reappeared in the chat at midnight. What does he have to do with me? You should stop being a dog for your sister. At 8 in the morning, Li Feng finally replied, "Sister is a happy little dog. He and I are indeed doing quite well." Liu Ryan. When did you change your name? What is all this nonsense? Fine. You can have him all to yourself then. Make sure you don't waste your chance. Sister is a happy little dog. He's not an object, so there's no such thing as giving him away. Sister is a happy little dog. It's just that he doesn't like you anymore, that's all. Shortly after, Li Feng left the group, then privately messaged my alternate account. Sister is a happy little dog. Sis, send me the photos. Dog trainer. What do you want? Sister is a happy little dog. The first group photo. I want to save it. Dog trainer. Sister is a happy little dog. Do you have a problem with that? I didn't even have that photo in the first place. She then turned around and sent me a 1,000 yuan red packet. Sister is a happy little dog. Hurry up. Send it over. No way! This bad habit of giving money to strangers randomly needs to stop. I thought I'll have to talk to her about it. Then the alarm rang. It was time to head to the registrar's office to sign up. I didn't reply anymore and rolled out of bed. As I was leaving, Su Wen was still on the balcony, crying on the phone with Liu Ryan. Why did she block me too? He asked. Liu Ryan's affection was always short-lived. After so many years, I had learned that lesson well. At the registration for the competition, I ran into her in person. Since that day, we hadn't contacted each other. But Liu Ryan was never one to reach out first anyway, and I no longer wanted to chase after her. I stood in line ahead of her, handing in my registration form. Scan this QR code and fill out the details, because my ears were blocked from the cold. I couldn't hear the teacher clearly. I stood there confused for a moment. Scan the QR code. Liu Ryan came closer, and our dynamic instantly reverted to its old familiarity. Idiot! She repeated her old tricks, instinctively reaching into the pocket of my jacket to grab my phone, intending to help me scan, but she quickly realized that the password she had once easily cracked was no longer valid. She stood there stunned. She didn't say a word. Thanks. I stepped back, retrieving my phone. I scanned the code myself. After filling out the information, I confirmed my registration was successful. I quickly left the registrar's office, but just as I rounded the corner, a hand grabbed my wrist from behind. The grip was strong, expressing a long-suppressed anger. Have you had enough fun? Liu Ryan's tone was forceful, but her posture revealed a deep-seated anxiety. Liu Ryan, let go. Why did you mess with Li Fang and still come to enter the competition? Do those three things have any inherent connection? I countered. She stared into my eyes. If you're trying to make me care about you, then you've succeeded. You've played the push and pull game pretty well. Liu Ryan let go of my hand, but still looked down at me with her usual air of superiority. Don't contact her again. Why can't I contact her? I can be with you. She finally blurted out, repeating the words. Fang Yuan, I can be with you. I had liked her for so many years. Even in the moments when our relationship was at its most ambiguous, I had never really considered the possibility of her being with me. It felt like a reckless gamble where the outcome didn't matter. I just wanted to pour out all the turbulent, uncontrollable feelings. Losing terribly, but at least having an ending. Yet she kept dragging it out, enjoying the way I treated her well, but refusing to define our relationship. Until this moment, she finally said she could, but only just barely. It was nothing more than her pity. Once I had loved someone with all my heart and courage, but in the end, she didn't even have the courage to face me. Turns out she was the coward all along. I let out a relieved smile and calmly said to her, "There's no need. Liu Ryan, I don't like you anymore." On the day of the competition, while I was preparing backstage, Li Fang called me. Nervous? She asked. I'm okay. The wind is a bit cold. I just got over my cold. I wrapped my coat tightly around me. Actually, it doesn't really matter what accent is best. Language is just a tool. Her voice seemed to carry warmth. I think your English sounds great. You sound good no matter what you say. She added another sentence. Even if you spoke in bird language, it would still sound good. You're the one speaking bird language. I laughed, and it eased the tension. Fang Yuan. Yeah, I just submitted my application to change majors. I just want to study what I love. I don't want to prove anything anymore. She said sincerely, thank you. I didn't respond, but I imagined that the warmth in her voice was like the warmth of her hand holding mine on that mountain day. Li Fang, let's make a bet. What kind of bet? If I win first place in the competition, you have to agree to one condition of mine. Your phone's lock screen password? She instinctively guessed. I haven't changed it since that day. Not that. Okay, she agreed. Having learned her lesson, then you have to agree to my condition too. The teacher at the registrar's office said that I need to rank in the top 3 of my current major by the end of the semester. In order to switch majors, she added, if I succeed, can you promise me one condition? Okay. After hanging up the phone, it was almost my turn. The contestant before me was Liu Ryan. The applause inside the hall was deafening. One of the students next to me whispered, she did amazingly well. Thank goodness I'm not up after her. Imagine the pressure. I walked up to the stage calmly, passing by her on my way. She looked up at me, and there was an emotion in her eyes I couldn't quite decipher. But I didn't care. I stood at the podium. The hall was packed with people, but the stage lights were so bright that I could barely make out the faces in the audience. This blinding light, like the midday sun, made me suddenly recall a moment from middle school. I had been called on by my English teacher, asked to stand and read from the textbook in front of everyone. I stumbled through the words. The echo of my voice sounded awkward and harsh. The teacher interrupted me and called out Liu Ryan's name instead. Fang Yuan, you read. She stood up lazily and effortlessly read the passage. Fluent, natural. Back then, there were rumors in class that I was chasing after Liu Ryan. After she finished and sat down, the teacher coldly said to me, with your level, do you really think she would be interested in you? I was punished to stand for whole periods. From that day on, I didn't dare speak English in public again. But today, as I faced the microphone, I spoke fluently. Each word was like an embrace for that version of myself who had once felt so alone. Liu Ryan was still the one who came in first place. I only placed fifth, failing to qualify for the finals. But just standing on that stage and speaking English, I had already fulfilled my initial mission. On the day of the awards ceremony, the first place winner didn't show up. She had gone to the seafood porridge shop I used to take her to, posted a picture, and shared it on her social media. A lone bowl of porridge, left from hot to cold. But no one cared about her post, because the entire department was buzzing about Li Fang. She had surpassed Liu Ryan and ranked first, breaking Liu Ryan's streak of consecutive first-place wins. She's incredible. How did she do it? Suddenly, I felt like I could do it too. My motivation to study flaring up for a brief 3 minutes, but it was only a narrow victory this time. In fact, she only won by a single point. I guess Liu Ryan would overtake her next time. Unfortunately, there wouldn't be a next time. A few days later, Li Fang successfully switched majors. After a summer break, her photos would occasionally pop up on the school's confession page. In the pictures, she had cut her hair even shorter because of the heat, which only highlighted her sharp features. Her gaze was intense and piercing. She exuded an air of bold arrogance. She didn't seem like someone easy to get along with. But her beauty was undeniable, and people still asked about her. That day, she walked up to the second floor of the main teaching building, arms crossed as she leaned against the wall, one long leg stretched out. She casually stood at the classroom door, waiting. Students near the window whispered, "This is a law major classroom. What's Li Fang from Information Security doing here?" But soon, they had their answer. Because it was obvious. Her gaze was fixed on me, sitting upright in the front row. "Dog trainer, you're making a scene. Go wait somewhere else. Sister is a happy little dog." She pouted, but obediently she left. About 10 minutes later, I texted her, "Dog trainer, class is over. Sister is a sad little dog. Come quick." On the way out, she chattered nonstop about what we should have for hot pot that night. As I got in the car, I noticed the sleeping pills that used to be in her glove compartment were gone. She hummed a tune and took my hand. The sky was clear, and the road ahead was wide open.